Bonjour mes amis, bienvenue dans cette nouvelle interview avec les vampires. Merci de avoir regardé. All right, we're getting there. We're getting there. If you're watching this on Patreon, you're watching this a week early. So if you're not on Patreon, you're watching the VOD when it's gone up on the YouTube. Just note that the Patreon members have 1 week early access to the series. We are back with episode 3 of season 2 now, firmly in Paris, in France. Claudia and Louis have run into the coven of Théâtre des Vampires, basically just the theater of vampires, the theater troupe that's been around for many years. With, as it turns out, Lestat de Lanco as the founder. So Louis and Armand, they're starting to. This is kind of recalling how the relationship started, and it's kind of this just cute, cheesy noir France, old 19, and well now 19, almost 50s, sort of romancing the stone, if the stone was a undead vampire. Claudia loves this, where they just kind of, it's not great. They're just kind of killing and enjoying life's hedonistic pleasures and pursuits at will. And Louis is taken aback by how they're just luring people in, and then they're able to basically publicly execute them on stage under the guise of it all being part of the act, part of the show, a depraved, macabre performance of the with the murderous intent. So Santiago, it was definitely the standout of last episode. However, toward the end of last episode, it turns out Louis told us that he fell asleep during one of his performances. Santiago, not a big fan of him anymore. Armand realized that past Louis had some trepidation when Lestat's name was dropped. So, he's not prime, but he's just saying, hey, just keep in mind it's going to come up again. Yeah, the bigger issue at hand really is modern, this present day Dubai. I don't see it ending well, but now our old reporter, gonzo journalist Daniel Malloy, is the odds are 2v1, a battle of wits, as he tries to ascertain the fact from fiction, or rather get the true story out of these half-truths and this narrative web that Armand seems to have weaved and is currently trying to guide Louis down. Already went out for a friend's birthday and might have had a little shot or two, a little shot ski. Keep on winding down with this Memphis brand. I think it's family owned Memphis brand Old Dominic straight Tennessee whiskey. The giveaway is still going on Instagram. If you all you gotta do is follow, like, and interact with the post that's up there talking about the raffle, and you'll have a chance to win one of 3 prizes. But enough talk, enough bluster. Let's see if I can get enough courage and muster. I had something there. It's all gone. No pain. Perhaps the shortest episode title to date, funny enough. Oh, are we back in public? Drawing notes, or this time I won't what? What does that say? This time I won't cave. This time I won't cave your life. This time I won't save your life. Mary's cab, Coke, Beth. His handwriting is low-key atrocious. As a door trap, Claudia, they'll come for, and Katie next. Playboy magazines. Oh, is he specifically writing down all the things that fake Rashid has been saying? I know what his name is, but it's so much more entertaining to call him fake Rashid. So do we get an actual, like, see how it all went down? Because we know how it went down based on the story that Daniel remembers and is kind of like alluded to, but we haven't officially that. If he didn't remember Armand, then who's to say he didn't misremember the entire proceeding of events, right?
Partial to the non-wriggling items. I should have said that.
Well,
The perils of omakase. We cede power to the chef, submit to his whims, to his eye at the fish markets. A series of...
I get out of town. Is this Mencken? Is that Mencken from Succession? I like how that man's face and voice are so just like they get under my skin so easily that I immediately recognize him.
Right.
Under the
I
burning
love
sky. The one about Enron. Black Blood, was it? You're Daniel Malloy. I've read your books.
A reader. Well, prepare yourself for disappointment.
I see they've separated you from your laptop.
They?
Off your game a touch yesterday. Perhaps they believe you've been humbled. Clever on their own. Now there's 2 of them. Of course, there was always 2 of them.
I'm pretty sure this guy's in his head. Maybe a figure of his past.
Gonna stop looking at you now?
I like how he's getting in his head though, because yeah, he's Daniel Malloy is self-aware enough to know that in this battle of wits right now, that like the first few chess moves have been mostly in his favor, and he's been able to dig and get some information and some little juicy tidbits and some facts. But after that last little Armand getting in his head and Louis striking back with his own morbid sense of humor, he's literally getting in his head about it, and he can feel himself slipping.
A little pale for Mossad, although that could be very Mossad.
I wish I'd be better funded. No. I work for another watchful shop, the name of which has not come up in your conversations with them.
A stake in the story I'm writing.
You a vampire?
You have me bugged, or you want me to think you do?
We were tracking 900 of them a month ago. We're tracking 1,600 now.
900 to 1,600? Surely you're not talking about vampires.
Great conversion. It's real. It's happening.
Well, then you have a more immediate problem than a book being researched. Got a name?
Helicene. Dude, if this guy is an affluent, well-to-do businessman / vampire hunter, how crazy would that be? Now we're tracking 1,600. There's a convergence happening. Armand alluded to, back when he was being fake Rashid, he's like, when this book is put out there, they'll all all the vampires will converge on us.
You're not the first to attempt this, Mr. Malloy.
Uh-oh.
I could give you the names of 4 others who have, and they're all dead. Or undead. The name's Raglan James.
Got a real name?
Files have been placed with proper encryption on your comically vulnerable laptop. My friends in
Anyone
the
here a
penthouse
fan of
wouldn't dream
intelligence
providing.
officers? We got a live one.
Yoshi-sama, Teisho-san.
MI6? Oh my god. I thought he was in his head, but no. He's aware of the interview. He claims that Malloy's not the first. The others are dead. They're tracking vampires. I love this angle. I love the door this opens up, that aspect to it, because I said before, and I think to an extent, but like, how can vampires, especially covens of them, or as the world gets more and more modern, how can they operate? They can't always stay in the shadows, right? The truth comes out eventually. Oh, do you dream?
How many people in the world know what you know, Rashid? How many Rashids, Rashid?
I suspect just enough to help them stay hidden.
No, that's how billionaire vampires do it. Your average Joe Mo vampire keep people like you in line. Unspoken threats?
I mean, a threat is always there. He could kill us both now, but he doesn't. They are peaceful beings.
They drain and disappear us.
They have a biological imperative that is in conflict with human morality.
Now that is very well said. Yes, that's very true. A biological imperative in conflict with human morality. That's the basis for most of our conversations we've been having on the subject of how to exist in this, and what's the proper thing to do. Is either to let yourself die. Do you accept it as another stage of evolution, right? As another part of the food chain, just accept it. Again, we briefly touched on that in the last episode as well. But for him to say that they are innately peaceful beings, I think it depends on the person, right? Broad strokes, broad brush strokes. If a bad person is turned into a vamp as opposed to a good person, yeah, it's like inherently there's already going to be that bias. Like some people, whether they have those powers or not, like are just they could just, not be a great person. I wouldn't say that they're naturally peaceful creatures. They literally have a borderline insatiable bloodlust. Like they feel like they have to feed, and some of them start developing quite the ego and then pass it on to their creations and such.
But what is that morality other than rules agreed upon?
Thank you, Rashid.
They're all very opinionated. Opinionated in that they are very quick to defend. I guess I use the word masters here.
The average vampire has minimal contact with humanity. When exposed, they feed or run or kill themselves. And I'd say we're multimillionaires. Quite a billion.
Nice.
It was wrong of Louis to enter your memories yesterday. You were invited here as a guest.
Cell phones.
You were rude, but he crossed the line.
Artificial intelligence crunching improbable data.
I offer
How do you
my
hide
apology
from the
on his
cloud?
behalf. We should probably wait for him.
No, I like what we got going on
Probably.
here. So let's chat.
He'll awaken when the sun sleeps.
But you're up, because you can be during the day.
Your cell phones make you slaves to your fetishes. And data retrieval is primarily about profit, so I suspect no one at Amazon is trying to sell us splendors.
You kill. Nightly.
And sometimes you've watched that kill on the local news.
I like this. For one, it's a good interviewing tactic in general. So Malloy is trying to get back on his A game right here. For those that don't know, and again, whenever I talk about this type of stuff, any of this, I'm by no means an expert, an authority, or a professional. Just like listen. Let silence. Let your subjects sit in silence, and more often than not, they'll feel like they have to talk more. Funny enough for a vampire, that human need to fill the silence, but in Armand's case, he is a very opinionated person with like centuries of observations and notes that I'm sure most of these vampires in the show, like all of them, really like the sound of their own voice. And so he's been given a chance now to comment on the human condition, as it were. So this is good, though, because then if you can get him talking, then you can really possibly get him talking.
You're at the height of willful ignorance. We exploit it. This was Lestat's prophetic vision.
Prophetic vision?
Lestat de Liancourt.
Yes, we were shadows crouching behind stone prior to his transformation.
We were shadows crouching behind stone.
It was 1556.
Oh, we're actually getting... Whoa, okay. Word, son. We're getting an actual flashback with Armand and Lestat. No longer Dreamstat. I'm excited.
When the Roman coven sent me to lead the shambolic Paris coven, I had never led anything in my life. We called ourselves the Children of Darkness. We lived in squalor, hunted in shame, all in strict obedience to medieval laws put in place to protect us from humanity. And though I managed to maintain a discipline and humility for 239 years as Satan's fool, by the time Robespierre was beheaded, I was, by any measure, failing.
La mort punira toute infraction de la première et la cinquième de grande loi.
All right, so back then they would put their own to death for violating laws, code, and rules. Didn't even occur to me, like vampire. I mean, vampire on vampire, like crime, sure, but put to death.
We were embers on a waning pyre. Lestat was the wind to scatter.
I really gotta meet this guy.
I felt his presence before I saw him, sired by one of my deserters, Magnus. This was something new, something I hadn't felt before.
I'll be fascinated to see how they interact with each other. But this is the furthest back in time we've gone in the show, so I'm...
No vampire shall ever reveal his true nature to a mortal and let that mortal live. And here he was,
on stage.
prancing and preening in front of 500 mortals a night, like some patronized, tarted-up dervish.
Vous êtes donc de femme.
To hear Louis tell it, Lestat becoming a vampire was a horror show.
That may be. But he made a remarkable recovery shortly thereafter.
On a separate note, again, I'm just taking it like beat by beat and all that. I love the face. Get out of town. Those big glossy eyes. It's good for him though. If the accuracy of that story holds true and his being transformed and turned was a horror show, then it's good to be able to like take back, grow from that trauma, and like come into your own in that sense. So
they were all in love with him. He had that effect on everyone. He
was it natural?
Entirely unnatural. Using the dark gift for what? His vanity? It was heresy. I had to bring him under my control by any means. Tu es le bâtard de Magnus.
Oh.
Je sais que tu peux m'entendre, mon enfant.
Qui m'appelle enfant?
Il est mort, n'est-ce pas? Je peux prendre soin de toi. Je peux t'apprendre ce qu'il ne t'a pas appris. Viens à moi. Viens à moi.
Encore plus en mer.
How can you not love him though? He's hamming it up, taking the spot, like just taking the spotlight. The entire room is swooning over him because he's just so just outwardly, just authentically himself, and just that fun, loving, alluring. Like I get why people would so easily fall in love.
I followed him for weeks. His rejections only inflamed me.
Oh.
And the longer I allowed him to exist outside the coven, the more unsettled, my children became. They watched in secret, fascinated by his disregard for the laws I told them could never be broken. À la maison.
Oui, maître.
Désolé, maître.
He's had that title for many, many years, even like after this. Again, it's the maître, which the master title. Which, I mean, master, that could be good or bad.
Nous allons nous faire rattraper.
Je l'espère.
Gardes-tu ce garçon comme aide-mémoire?
Lestat, connais-tu ce giton?
La solitude que tu ressens, il ne l'atteindra jamais. Sois avec les tiens.
Et abandonner mon gilet à carreaux, mon collier à bord.
Can't give up the waistcoat
Vivre
now.
comme un larve.
Lestat, que se passe-t-il?
The drip is real, though.
Rien. Il n'y a rien.
Damn.
Bonne nuit.
Oh, you want to
À mon
bet?
tranche.
I tolerated his presence too long.
Did the lantern behind him light up when he got angered?
Bonne nuit.
No.
À mon tranche.
Oh, he was unfurling his cape.
I tolerated his presence too long already. I had to act, or he'd destroy what little I had left.
Lestat!
Là!
Ooh. I will be so curious to see. Lestat always is in a position of power. So to see him in a position where he might not be the, like, you know, the heavyweight champ in the ring, you know what I'm saying? Like, and Armand, I think, has been, no, he has been around longer than Lestat has, like long enough to even know Lestat's creator. So I'm pretty sure he'd be more powerful. So, okay.
Tu ne lui as pas révélé ta vraie nature, n'est-ce pas?
Froze time too.
Quel est ce pouvoir?
He doesn't have it yet, yeah.
Je n'ai pas ce pouvoir.
Mais tu l'auras. Tu as le sang de Magnus. Tu gâches ton potentiel en menant cette vie-là.
Relâche-le! Relâche-le!
Et voici un buveur de sang.
Oh, dude, his pupils. Dude, were his pupils like vibrating? They're about to fight, man. About to
Et
square up.
voici un buveur de sang.
They did, yeah. That was cool. Oh boy. Dude, cool effect. So much for that.
Je suis Armand.
Armand. Je suis Armand.
Je suis le chef de ton clan.
Oh, is he gonna take his lover?
Ramène ton gilet chez les larves, veux-tu?
The rage. Dude, he had to lay down the law. Is he? I can't with this man, I swear. Even when he's not holding the winning hand at the table, dude, kick down the door with that, like, sexy trench coat over here with, like, Jesus de Cristo on the cross. And trounce on in. Get out of town.
Je suis heureux que tu sois venu.
Did you bring garlic too, my boy?
Il ne se réveille pas.
Est-ce
amusant de vivre dans une telle saleté et les plus honteux?
Nous devons servir Dieu au travers de Satan.
Une trinité crottée.
Tu vas attirer la colère de Dieu sur nous avec tes péchés.
Qui sont?
Tu vis parmi les mortels. Tu marches dans le temple de Dieu.
But he's gonna come in. Oh, points to Jesus. So he's gonna come in and gonna challenge the coven and the leader, essentially.
Il parle de l'homme triste et vêtement cloué.
Sacrilege. Blasphemy. I love it.
C'est
Though.
un arbre tombé.
Indeed.
Raboté simplement pour le simple d'esprit de même arbre. On fit le pied d'une table. Et là, une flûte. Rompez de cette prison qu'il bâtit pour vous.
Fair
You
move.
let it happen.
Yes.
You led him there so he could destroy it.
His words had been my thoughts for half a century. If it had come from me, they wouldn't have believed it.
Interesting.
Dieu, Satan, Armand. Est-ce vrai? Vous êtes les dieux.
That's clever, and it does show intelligence and perhaps even, I don't know if humility is the right word, but he could put aside his ego to allow an outsider to come in and if what he says is to be believed, to willingly allow it all to be upended, for that to the coven to then like evolve, essentially, like come out of the shadows. Ow. Bro, casually shattered his wrists on the way out.
My children left. They roamed the streets of Paris, wreaking havoc with mortals. Some could not reconcile the life I had made for them with the life Lestat had told them was possible. They went mad.
Damn.
Ended themselves.
Ended out in the woods in Romania.
The only thing that kept me from the fire were the old rituals.
Kept you from the fire. Again, vampires feeding on themselves. Can you just... Oh. Couldn't you just cheat the cycle?
Nous sommes seuls. Satan ne nous écoute pas.
Comment transportes-tu l'air en feu? Comment bouges-tu des objets par la simple force de ton esprit?
Teach me.
Demande-t-il tout en dansant dans les cendres.
Enchanté. Again, pain from pleasure. The intimacy involved in vampiric bloodletting. Again, it's always interesting to see it this way. It's so curious. They don't really have relations in the typical human sense, you know, strictly sexual, but instead there's intimacy there, but it's from like lust and hunger and bloodletting, and it's but again, also the difference between like lust and hunger, which we've pointed out in the past.
J'ai une idée. Ils viennent accompagner. Séduits dans un élan collectif. Ils rient ensemble, pleurent ensemble.
If Armand is telling the story now, he's admitting that I mean, that's, again, Lestat was the founder of Théâtre des Vampires. So, yeah, that was his idea to begin with, was to lure them in under the guise of entertainment and then just to take them out.
Qu'est-ce pour un vampire?
Une opportunité. Hamlet est mort sous le cul d'une lame empoisonnée. Mais l'acteur qui j'ai su leur jus respire encore. Dans ce temple, croire protège. Annonce que tu es un vampire.
Yep.
Bois le sang à la vue de tous.
Exactly.
Pas de clan. Tu m'en as privé.
Au contraire, maître.
They're right here. We've all evolved to high society now. That's the stock area.
Des années? La mort ne respecte pas l'âge.
Regardez comme ils sont immobiles. Ils croient vraiment que c'est une pièce de théâtre. Des clous sur une porte à
They've been doing
Wittenberg.
this for years.
Tu as mené une réforme, Lestat.
Nous
And
l'avons
they
fait
still
ensemble.
are.
Tu fais un meilleur moi.
Je m'en fiche, je n'ai pas peur.
Le faux fait tout le travail.
Après une centaine de nuits ici, tu t'ennuies déjà.
Seulement avec le jeu d'acteur,
Ici, maintenant.
c'est une loge spéciale.
well. Nah, looking back up. Oh no. The jealous lover.
Je t'aime.
Oui. Je t'aime aussi.
I was about to say it back.
That's it? You're just gonna end it there.
They went at it on the floor. Armand taught Lestat the mind gift. And a week later, Lestat was gone.
The question was, how do vampires hide from Google? Not, how did Lestat break his heart?
But because you were a good listener, you got answers to both.
When he went to open the theater the next night, he was met by the lawyer, Pierre Roger I.
Waiting for me with a trunk full of cash and instructions to cover the theater's cost in perpetuity.
He abandoned the coven. Lestat is, was, and will always be for Lestat.
Never say I love you to a raging narcissist.
And I locked away those words for another 150 years.
Damn, I see. I love you. A week later, he vamoosed the caboose, but he left instructions and enough money to literally get the theater idea up and running and functioning in perpetuity. I'm starting to sense some patterns here, and this is kind of, it's how I used to be. Not like Lestat. In that hold on. Wait, no. Wait. So I used to, due to my own, like, you know, high school affairs and flings, especially way early on. I think there was specifically a heartbreak in my sophomore year or something like that. Between that and other various traumas, some mild abandonment issues and whatnot, I developed commitment issues, like fundamentally rooted in trust issues. And so a lot of relationships that I would attempt to get into, right, I would flirt a lot. And then if something started developing between me and another person, and they started like really showing that affection and reciprocating, I, due to my own pitfalls, basically, and my commitment issues, I would then pull away. I would get scared, I'd get cold feet, fade away, or I would just leave the situation and I would move on. And that honestly killed a lot of probably what could have been some decent relationships, if not great ones. And I've hurt people in the past that way, and it's unfortunate. All that to say, I can kind of empathize with Lestat in that sense, because now I'm sensing a pattern here, right? Like with Armand, things started to get hot and heavy. They were like, like very into each other. They were like falling for each other, similar passions, taste, etc., etc. Armand confesses feelings, and Lestat flees the coop and leaves. Now, you might say, what about Louis? Well, Louis, and there was that love to a degree as well, but Louis was kind of different, a bit more subdued, and almost more servile than Armand, but also it was almost kind of unintentionally hard to get a lot of the time. Lestat would very often have to like fight multiple times for Louis' affection and attention, especially when Claudia came into the mix, but even before then when Louis had his family and all that. So Lestat, he never truly had Louis' full, unabashed, unashamed, unadulterated love. And I think that's why he stuck around and kept trying to make it work and kept trying, like, leaning into it harder and harder and whatnot. Or if you want to say, oh, that Louis was the true love of his life, you could also make that argument. But I'm just saying, this tracks, right? Because I feel like if Louis had fallen for him the same way that Armando, fake Rashid had, then it would have maybe ended differently, and Lestat would have once again left. I mean, clearly he has trust issues. Lestat, I mean, probably some abandonment issues, definitely commitment issues, because again, he's sleeping around even when he's with Louis, and there's the whole Anastasia bit. So more and more of it's pointing to that as the reasoning here.
And then he arrived and shattered that lock. This is what frightened me most about you.
And now we're back to Perry.
He's in Copenhagen.
What a brilliant... I love that. So, like, Daniel Malloy gets ready for another day to interview the couple, and the timing just so happens to be that it's not late enough in the day yet. The sun has not gone down. And then, Daniel and Armand are in the room. I've gotten far enough in the story where we know he's met Armand, and we know that there's some history there between him and Lestat. So then he can then take that moment to delve into it. And then, of course, as Louis comes out, he's like, yeah, it's no secret. He's telling you what I already know. So I just love the way that it was all presented right there.
Working in a car factory, he hates his maker, takes the boat back to America. He gets me on an L train in Chicago.
I said just outside Chicago. He said he didn't like big cities.
He gets me outside Chicago, a diner on the way to Gary.
Nice. So they're going over their cover story in the meantime.
He kills himself in Cincinnati.
What the hell we know about Cincinnati?
What do they know about Cincinnati?
What's he look like?
They won't ask that.
Couple
They
of
will.
posters.
It's been weeks, it's enough. I'm finally working backstage tonight. I won't be late.
You're the one who said he was our maker. I need this coal for myself.
Black wavy hair. Smile crooks up to the left, bunch of moles on his crotch and thighs.
I don't need that.
Damn.
Well, he didn't keep you under floorboards for a week. I don't know what it is that you need. I remember what...
Kept you under floorboards for a week. It wasn't just a one and done. That's terrible. It wasn't just a one and done, left her out in the woods. Are we saying that Killa Bruce sexually assaulted her and then took her back to wherever he was staying and kept her locked up for a week just to be his plaything? That's to find out just so casually like that, that's wild. Pile on some more trauma, why don't you? Look, yeah, you can see it in her face now.
I try to keep us safe.
She had to dwell on it again.
You might be having a good time now, but there's danger if they find out we lied.
Maybe not Cincinnati. How about Shreveport?
No, about Shreveport.
Go to bed. Y'all from Shreveport?
Shreveport, Cottle Lake, burned himself on the bridge.
The door was ajar.
Nice little... No, it wasn't. It was a door.
Maitre,
Hey,
welcome
handsome.
to our lair.
Maitre?
Shouldn't you be in the lobby?
I got 3 minutes.
Did I give you consent to look me in the eye, Puce?
No, Maitre.
My fault. I was keeping her.
Have I been late once, Maitre?
Whoa.
Have you been early once is the question I'd be asking myself.
Okay, they're clearly adhering to like a hierarchy. That I give you permission to look me in the eye. That's pretty intense, but it's all part of it. She's, as Louis would call her, a spark in the dark, yet she so wants to be part of this coven and wants to have the community and be involved in the theater that now she's entering a more servile role. That's interesting.
How's she doing?
She's taking the abuse in stride.
Oh,
I've never seen her happier.
some hazing.
The coven has grand designs for her.
Such as? What do you mean grand design?
You're drawn to portraiture.
Hide your cracks in the walls.
Show me where you go at night.
Do you know what it means?
To be loved
To be loved by death.
A fellow at the New York Theater. Teatro.
This is my favorite part.
No pain.
No
With the
pain.
motor.
How does he get him to beg for it?
Interesting. 2 episodes in a row, and both are Santiago quotes directly from his monologue.
Eyes down, Putz. Eyes down.
Oh shit. Must be hazing.
No pain.
Did you f***ing sneeze at the
Oh
end?
my
I tried to
god.
stifle it.
Bloody f***ing moment of quietus.
It still sounded terrifying, Mr. Santiago. I got chills.
Of course you did. Because I'm a f***ing professional.
Come in, sir.
This is what's called the wet room. A hateful place. You never get over the smell.
Dude, I think I got a morgue in the basement of the theater. Oh, yes. Ah, the wet
I'm
room.
glad to Gary Duff. It's your job now. Keep the sacrifice in there till 10 minutes to the stage. This is the buddy box. And this is the rat box. You put your freshie in the body box. You close the lid. Take the safety off the funnel. And bagosh and bagora, the rats do the dirty for you. On a Tuesday.
Oh, the rats do the dirty for you. Faith and McGowan, put a potato heater. Ye old garbage disposal. Oh, you just throw the body in the one box, and the rats, they'll come in and do the rest.
Back and forth, back and forth. Keep track. These rats are smart. They can go quiet. You open up the wrong box, they go running up the stairs, into the green room, into the theater. Metra punishes the entire coven, which does not win your friends in Ferrin.
We had an incinerator at home.
How'd that work?
Throw him in, watch him burn.
Feels a bit German. You can piddle a week before you have to...
Oh my god, I love the writing in this show. Dude, this guy's a hoot. He went from saying, like, be careful, the rats, they get smart. They get quiet. But we had an incinerator at home. Oh, how'd that work out for you? Throw him in, watch him burn. Sounds a bit German.
What are these?
Burial vaults. Coven members past, mostly heretics and lawbreakers.
What laws?
Not till the ceremony poos. They found the heart. Rats love hearts.
I walk a new part of the city every night.
They bury their own down there. I was about to say, I thought it was for the like the bodies, but no. So they dispose of them via a cycling chamber of rats. Decent system right there. The bones and all. Do rats eat bones too? Bones and all. I can't. And then they just bury their own in the actual like morgue.
Somehow, I always end up back by the river.
The waters of the Seine, contained and beautiful. A vein, winding to the heart of Paris. There's much talk of your camera in the coven.
Yeah, right.
They say you're mad in love with humanity, thieving their private moments with light and shadow.
I'm curious what your opinions are, by the way, on Paris or France, because growing up, you hear all sorts of Americans love to romanticize it, and I know there's beautiful sights and such, but then I talk to some friends, especially friends that like have experience living in France or themselves just they're more worldly people, and they say it's kind of overrated. And you go to the Eiffel Tower and it's like filthy and all this type of stuff. So is Paris still a worthwhile destination? Perhaps Copenhagen instead.
They pester Claudia about it.
They should ask me if they're curious.
How could they when you're so rarely present?
I saw enough theater back home for several lifetimes. No offense.
None taken. Nothing worse than being dragged around unwillingly by a companion. This was Bruce?
Yeah, Bruce.
The opera-loving motorcyclist. You should talk with Tuan Pham about cameras. He's very learned. Perhaps the two of you...
I'm not joining the coven. You got Claudia. She's happy. I'm happy. Not much of a joiner.
Yes, you have made that clear enough.
Creative directors of the show was talking about how for Louis, the comfort is in knowing that it's there, but not excluded, but wants to be independent from it, which speaks again to his own like personal psychology, which is to know that the support systems are there. There's people there if he wanted to, but he wants the ability to have the choice, to be able to choose not to be a part of it and to lead his own path and not feel like he only has the one path to go on. So that's his comfort in all of this.
It is not the whole reason I'm here.
No. No. It's definitely not the whole reason he's here.
Oh, dream start.
I like you.
I like you. Isn't that obvious?
We really must work on blocking your thoughts. Bruce, I sense him now in your mind.
Oh.
Maybe I'm guarding my thoughts just fine. Maybe I let you into my head on purpose.
Oh, that's nice, mon cher. Lovely.
What you get in that moment, huh? God, these guys, these bastards are so handsome. Don't give me that look. Get out of here, that smile.
If we were the only vampires in Paris.
For a second, I felt like we were.
The coven is envious of your independence. It's a problem.
Your problem, not mine. You want me, I'm here.
Interesting how I say trauma repeats itself, but our attractions repeat itself. The same case with Lestat back in 1556, and now the same case with Louis back in 19 whatever the hell this year is now. Armand, like falling in love with somebody, and such an intriguing figure, unique in their own right, both not wanting to be part of a coven, but wanting to be their own independent person. I wouldn't be surprised if that's part of where the attraction lies, right? Because, you know, Armand has slept around in his coven, but now here's somebody who's their own person. And there's kind of a power in that, especially if you're a vampire who's used to living in covens. Maitre or not. Maitre.
I'm out here finding myself.
Then what room is there left for me if you have not found yourself?
No, there's room.
I wonder when he's going to confess to him.
We were circling each other.
I was putting him in a very difficult position.
I was supposed to be luring him in, but the opposite was happening. I started
Again.
spending less time at the theater and more nights strolling the boulevards with Louis.
The conversation was easy and flirtatious.
And combative.
And combative, yes, but only in the most stimulating ways.
Arguing is foreplay.
Some of my most profound feelings
He's distracted
and
now.
thoughts were taking shape. And when my mind was...
Whoa. He gets a DM from RJ, once again, Raglan James. Also, I'm looking at I want to see his desktop with author photos, Pulitzer stuff, relaxation, scribblings, vice years, man, bootleg 06, Biblioteca Talamasca. Is that the organization? Talamasca Library? Biblioteca's library, right? Publicity, media coverage, LA Vengeance. Dans les shows, forever, les jardins de satin père.
Deeply excited and driven.
Peruse at your leisure. Dude, the guy so easily got into his computer.
To form new conclusions about myself and vampiric life in the abstract. Something wrong, Daniel?
Oh, no, it's the computer. Something you were saying made me think of. That's it. It just flew out of my head there. It's gone.
No, gotta be careful about that. Dude, they can get in your head and they can read your pulse. You can't guard yourself from these guys. You're like what? Oh no.
So where's Claudia at this point? How's she doing? What's she doing at this stage of things?
What happened next?
How do you do it?
You gotta stay focused, Daniel.
How do you get them to accept death?
Here's the thing. In all of this, Daniel hasn't seemed to be so concerned with his well-being so far, especially now. Like, it's 2v1. They could very easily kill him. And I don't know if there's moments where I've seen of, like, fear or apprehension, but I don't know if he's, like, fearful of his situation or not, just based on his position in life right now. It's more of a curiosity as to the greater, like, what's going on that this RJ is talking about, like, what the greater threat is, or... I mean, is he worried that they might kill him if this interview doesn't go up to their satisfaction? Not like
First thing
Louis.
I do is have a chat with my scene partner for the night. Muck about in their heads.
But she wants to learn
find their
this too.
shame. In short, an actor prepares. See you on stage, Claude.
Who's Francis Norton?
The best Iago to walk the York Royal.
That was you.
And what was your shabby life in Chicago before the vampire Bruce bit down on your wee neck?
I was in Springfield, selling little trinkets at the train station.
You were an orphan.
Could say that.
And an orphan again. We have that in common.
I thought Maitre made you.
Why would you say that?
Estelle told me you were the youngest, but you're also the strongest. Figured you got the best blood.
My maker lies in the walls downstairs.
Oh.
Maître, put him there.
Sorry.
Oh, don't be. He deserved his death.
Oh.
And his blood was exquisite. I'm a good mimic. And I can fly.
And you kill with panache.
And your dearly departed maker,
I'm a good mimic.
what gifts did he bequeath the Muppet vampiress?
I never truly realized that in terms of vampire powers. I'll have to update the list. So not only do you get powers from your maker, it sounds like, but it sounds like you can get, if you drink the blood of another vampire, possibly, maybe you have to kill them in order to do so. But if you, it sounds like if you feed off another vampire in their blood, you can also inherit abilities.
He taught me how to lie well.
Oh. Well.
You'll make a fine actor then.
Is that a real scythe, by the way?
It's Louis who's from Chicago, yes?
Just outside it. Gary, Indiana.
Stick with it, Puss. You're almost there.
Interesting. Asked her where he was from. He paused a moment, read her after she said her power was lying, and then he said, "Stay with it. You're almost there." Does that mean in that moment he was like, not quite a passable lie, but we're getting there, kid. We're getting there. I know you just lied to me. Or was that like a little test?
I'm evil. Evil as any vampire who ever lived. I've killed over and over, and I will do it again.
Why does that make you as evil as any vampire? Are there gradations to evil? Is evil a great perilous gulf one falls into with the first sin?
Literally, this is now the conversation we've been having here about like the morality of it all, right?
And kind of. It's not as logical as you're saying, but it's dark and it's empty. And I can't see the bottom of it.
But if evil is without gradation, and it does exist, this state of evil, then only one sin is needed. That's your argument.
To be evil, only one sin is needed. That's a bit much. Like, there's a difference here. Louis is saying because he's killed as many people as he has, that would make him inherently evil. Now, the question is, if he killed one person, is he evil? I don't think so. Again, that leans into the whole argument of it's a gradient, right? It's like the severity with which you do things. It's kind of like the argument where it's what Catholics say that you're born innately of sin. I think it's the Catholic faith that dictates that you would have to live your entire life begging and pursuing forgiveness and righteousness and faith, so that one could hope when you do die, you're able to be forgiven and redeemed and granted access into heaven and such, right? You know, again, that scale of sinning. If I were to steal a loaf of bread from my neighbor, if I were to pirate, you wouldn't download a car. If I were to pirate like a movie online, or if I were to commit if I were to covet my neighbor's wife, I think it's very subjective, the right word here. Like, I think it depends on like the severity of the action committed or the frequency of an action committed. There's a whole conversation you get into about what classifies something as evil or someone as evil. But also, again, these are all just labels and definitions that we've imposed upon ourselves as humanity, right? All these labels about good, bad, good and evil, good, bad, up, down, left, right, all that jazz. We can, oh my God, it's great philosophical conversation, but I have a habit of my mind runs too far into it, and I don't like looking at things black and white. I get lost in the gray area. So let's just continue, shall we?
Evil is the product of the ability of humans to make abstract What is concrete?
John Paul.
Armand.
This is my friend
We know
Louis.
each other.
Bonjour. Now, will you two kindly
To make abstract what is concrete.
shut up so I can hear the music?
Gave us 2 cents.
Your argument assumes God exists.
I don't know that God exists. From what I saw in the war, he doesn't.
Then surely there are degrees and variations to goodness. The goodness of the child, which is innocence. The goodness of the nun, who lives a life of self-deprivation and service. The goodness of the saints. The goodness of the midwives. And how is this evil achieved? How does one fall from grace and become
Little whore, you only want him 'cause you're feeling blue. Come to me, he'll never run his fingers through your hair the way I do. That's good. You'll fumble each other.
There he is again.
It's so interesting that he can sense that he's thinking about this person, but as far as he's projecting, or at least as far as Armando is digging, it's still Bruce.
I was with Bruce for 30 years.
Bruce. How long are we going to play games, Louis?
You gotta tell the truth.
Before you say it, let me tell you a little something about 18th century Armand.
Oh no.
Oh dear.
Finally.
I'm tired of holding on to it. Lestat was my companion in America.
And where is he now?
Still a he knows.
Do you know where he is?
I want you to say it.
I killed him, and he f***ing had it coming.
Well, that's debatable.
I've known for months.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut the dramatic tension of it, but I love this scene, the way it's playing out. I killed him, he had it coming. Debatable. Everybody in this show, when they want to, is a sassy little bitch.
I've just waited for you to say it.
And that means what? Well, you gotta kill me now? What does that mean for Claudia?
Did she help you kill him?
Yes. No.
You broke one of the great laws.
I don't know any great laws. Lestat never told me
I told you I loved you.
Go away.
Calm down.
And you said nothing.
Back to hell with you!
Louis?
Oh, man.
Even though I'm still the only one you trust.
Oh my god. Oh no. No, this is even in his head. Oh my god. I touched on it previously in the past regarding this particular relationship of mine in the past. I won't get into it too much now. Painfully relatable.
Kill me again.
Come on.
Show me. The only way you know how to love.
Three of us were a little gang for a while.
I think Armand sympathizes, if not empathizes, but I think Armand understands a lot more than Louis thinks, and Louis is just like spiraling and assuming the worst. And I mean, of course, right? He's got so much going through his head. He has all that trauma, he has that fear, the apprehension, being like literally haunted.
Till one day he set himself on fire and shot the out of us.
Did it with a lighter. Held up to a rag hanging out his gas tank.
Thought we'd be on that road for a long time. His last words were, "Had enough of your gloomy faces."
Good.
Something you want to tell me?
Lestat could have said, "Put your coffin on a boat. Go to Paris. There's a beautiful coven there, I know, because I f***ing founded it."
Good point.
But he said the vampires out there are vicious.
I should tell you something.
And then I met the motherfucker, and yeah, Lestat was right. It was better when he broke my bones. Crammed me under the floorboards. I fought him, kicked him, clawed him, bit him. And that was fine. It was when he had me pinned. And he'd tell me he loved me. Before, during, and after. Before, during, after.
Jeez.
That me up. One day, he said, had enough of your gloomy face. Drove off on a motorbike. Thought might as well go home, get Louis, head to Europe. They're gonna let me join the coven end of this week.
Oh, had she?
It'd be nice if you come.
Had she never told him this until now? That's so interesting. But now they into like that's some vulnerability there though. Although at the same time that's a lot to unload on somebody, especially seeing as how she hadn't seen him in years, and she's probably tried not to think about this too much. But I mean, well, I'm sure she can't help but think about that. God, that's awful though. It wasn't even like the physical acts or the assault itself, but it was the fact that he kept on telling me he loved me while he did it. Jesus.
I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Oh.
The lawyer for the buyer is ready for the teleconference.
It's about the bacon triptych.
I'll take a piss.
All right, what's on those files? Okay, modern day espionage. Media, projections, sets and set pieces, costumes. Okay, so just Théâtre de Vampire theater archives. Okay.
3 studies for figures at the base of a crucifixion, witnesses to Christ's agony. Mr. Bacon also referred to these as the 3 Furies.
Oh, I see. They're selling those art pieces. Thought it was a property. PC, known members, Great Fire of 49. Oh, the theater burns down at some point. We're building up to something big.
The vampires are real. They're gonna kill us all.
The vampires! They're real! Going to kill us all!
What is this? He's disrupted the performance.
No. Let him speak, son. Look who's graced us with his presence. What an honor.
He's here in support of the girl. Finish the performance.
Kill you next.
Did you read Le Monde today?
I have not.
A mutilated body found in a park 3 nights ago. Crossed skull, puncture wounds on neck, chest, and shoulder blade. Was that you?
Of course not.
Because everyone was in coffin by curfew. And I don't see our girl here at that particular park. Do you?
Speak plainly.
You've had your time to recruit. He will be the ruin of us. Do what must be done.
Are you making demands?
Poor timing, right as Louis might actually accept it. Now Santiago is gonna convince Armand to like lay down the hammer.
The coven would like to know what you intend to do with him, beyond comping him a 5th row center ticket.
And do you speak for the coven?
I just realized there's familiar faces out there. Dude, so there are multiple old world vampires that are from like the 1500s in here too. I just didn't recognize them at first.
After the ceremony, after she's committed herself to us, then I'll do what must be done. Does that satisfy?
Did in my maker for fathers.
Does that satisfy?
It does, maître. All respect. No pain. No pain.
But it's also just vague enough of a response. He didn't say, I'll kill him, I'll take him out. I'll take him out to the big theater in the sky. He said, I'll do what must be done. Dude, what if it's Armand who burns the place down? Could you imagine? What if he's really on the nose about it? He's like, darling Louis, I have something out back behind the theater to show you. Would you please? Papa, what is that in your hand? You brought an axe. An axe to chop the wood, perhaps, Papa.
Thomas, the 18th century boy who doesn't realize he's about to be killed by his dad. We certainly are sailing far out into the ocean, Papa. Will we be going swimming today?
Your first night over the footlights. How did it feel?
Like home.
Magical. I am glad she's happy, though. She's been through a lot. But I think she's enjoying all this, the murderous part of it a little bit too much. Oh?
It's a flea circus.
Aww.
May it remind you of your humble beginnings.
Cute.
Would you have us?
It would be my honor.
Yes, matron.
She's an interesting character because well, again, they're all flawed, right? Like, there's definitely things about her that I don't love. The fact that she has glee in the murderous intent of the vampire, that kind of presents almost that, like, that evil nature argument. Really, at its core, she wants community, and she wants, like, to be with people like her, like the type of being that she's been turned into. So to have that family that she otherwise would have been impossible to have in her current condition, her current state of being, I get that. So I can completely understand. I don't falter for wanting community.
Let the youngest Read in the youngest.
Crazy that Santiago's the youngest. He strikes me as someone who'd be much older. But okay, the 5 laws. We get the 5 laws now.
The ceremony is for members only. Shall we have a walk?
Oh, a walk, huh? I want to hear the 5 laws.
The 5 laws. Each coven must have its leader, and only he might order the working of the dark trick upon a mortal. Law 2. The dark gifts must never be given to the crippled, the maimed, or to children.
I'm gonna leave Paris.
Yikes. Oh, no. Oh, no. Well, that was before they entered the coven, though, right? Do they count it as a broken rule of the coven if you weren't already in the coven? I wouldn't think so, right? Because they would have already taken them out by now. Even though Lestat was technically no longer part of that coven, he kind of a rule that was already previously instilled. How long were these rules around for, though? Well, surely he knew, because Lestat kind of took in Armand's coven and had their own little coven. But was it a coven with official rules and mandates? I feel like Lestat wouldn't have abided by that. I was going to try to make a point in saying that he went against them for the sake of Louis and his love for him, but I don't think Lestat ever goes by rules. He just kind of, Lestat does what Lestat pleases.
Where would you go?
I was thinking London. If it's too large, maybe Dublin.
Oh, he is leaving.
He left the body in the park.
More reason I should leave.
No vampire must commit to writing the history of the vampires.
You exposed us.
Interesting. That's kind of bad for record-keeping purposes. Is that why Daniel and Armand? No, sorry. Why Louis and Armand are not writing their own memoir and they're dictating it to to Daniel Malloy to, like, basically get it all down on paper?
Should I allow the London coven such exposure?
No vampire shall ever reveal his or her true nature to a mortal and let the mortal live.
You revealed yourself to the law firm of Roger et Habert.
They do business with vampires.
No vampire
They do?
may
Wait.
ever destroy another vampire.
Yikes. Except for the Matra, right? But it's funny how many of these rules have technically been broken by them before even joining this coven. No vampire may ever destroy another vampire. However, the one exception to that rule is if the rules of the coven are violated, the Matra of the coven may then execute another vampire because they broke a rule, which inherently would be a violation of one of the core rules of the coven. Just funny little aside there. But also interesting, you revealed yourself to the law firm. When did he say he was a vampire? Is it just because he showed up all these years later? And then he said they do business with vampires. So is the law firm aware that they're doing business with vampires?
Except that the coven master has the power of life and death.
I will not harm you. Those were your first words to me.
My maker was a vampire named Bruce. Who's Lestat de Liancourt? Your first words to the coven.
And it is his obligation to finally seek the destruction of all those who have broken these 5 laws.
Where are we going?
We're going to get lost and end up back by the river. Like all our walks.
Will you abide by this 5th and final law?
I'll
I will.
certainly try.
Flee no more.
Take my head off if you're gonna do it. I saw what fire does. I don't want to go out that way.
Any other requests?
Look after Claudia.
She doesn't need looking after. She won't be here very long.
I mean, won't be here very long.
You made her at 14. A most turbulent chemistry.
Wait.
Her mind, as fierce as it is now, will not endure. It will break apart in time.
Oh, I see what you mean.
You don't know her.
You're saying she's gonna go mad.
I don't have to. I've seen it all before. I've seen too much, Louis.
You didn't think we were going to leave you in the wet room, did you?
No.
You're a star, Claudia.
Oh.
A new play for you and the ladies.
Oh, for you and the ladies.
My baby loves windows.
I play your governess. And I play your mother.
Aww,
And I play the little girl.
You'll be their little birdie for the next 50 years.
What did he call it? A savage garden. Why isn't Louis? Those with the most power are often the weakest.
Don't give up on her. Tell her she's beautiful. Tell her that every morning.
Now leave. This is the part
You're
where I
walking
say,
home.
with great power comes great responsibility.
Did he break you, Louis? Are you broken?
No. But I carry him. I don't know if I can. The pain,
You will.
Yeah, just as I did.
I did.
We both went through the exact same thing, well, almost very similar thing.
A century or so ago. Yesterday. What is time to a vampire?
The way he said that hurt. Oh my god. A century or so ago, yesterday, what does it matter? All the more reason they should like be even like more like this, because they've both been with the same lover who tasted of vermouth and annihilation, that same heartbreak. Like finally they both have somebody they can truly like relate to. I'm sure Santiago will not like this.
You want to come upstairs?
So you want to come on up? Nightcap?
Are you inviting me in?
Depends. Are you gonna kill me?
Step across my threshold, mon cher. Nice.
I think we all know where that's headed then, don't we?
No Pain is the name of episode 3, and it is ironic because the whole episode is about pain.
That is a very good point. We got a little bit of trauma from everybody. We have the pain Louis holds on to with the trauma with Lestat. We have Armand's pain with trauma with Lestat. We have Claudia's pain with the trauma of Bruce.
What we get is Armand's backstory, which pulls a little bit from the Vampire Lestat, which is the next book. So that's obviously exciting for our literary fans. It also gives us an opportunity to learn a little bit more about the Coven, gets us some Lestat in there, and one of the best things is that for a long time we get the Louis version of Lestat, and now we get the Armand version of Lestat. And how are they different? And you watch Sam do that stuff, and it's just exquisite.
By this point, we've learned.
It is interesting, because if that is the Armand version of Lestat recalling him, again, it's nothing negative, but he's less of an intimidating force, and there's a bit of a shift in the power dynamic, but there's still that infatuation, there's still that love. I didn't even really fully think about that. I mean, to be fair, I did point out we'd never seen Lestat in that kind of like back on his heels a little bit, like as if he's like, whoa, like what's going on? Like we always see him as this powerhouse of a force, but we've seen that through the lens of Louis. So I'm glad that I caught that. The little bit that I did.
That who tells the story is often more important than how the story's being told. How much of it is true, how much of it is used to paint Armand in a good light.
Tonight, we have a little altercation between two vampires and a mortal.
What I want to know is when him saying it and like putting it that way, I have one very important question, right? We have Lestat from Louis' perspective, from Armand's perspective, from Claudia's flawed journal perspective. When do we just get Lestat? Ooh, now I'm curious. When do we just get just an episode or a scene? When do we get to see this story told from Mon Cher himself? Like, when does he get to have a perspective? And why do I feel like we know he's not dead. We know that Louis refused to burn him, and so he's out there somewhere in the ether. Might Lestat show up in modern day Dubai? He's gonna show. I mean, we know he's got to show back up in the story, physically in person at some point, in the flesh once more. Oh my God, that could be the finale too. If Lestat rolled up in the flesh in Dubai, with the way things are right now.
So I'm going to be hurling Lestat up against that wall, just over there. Levin, who's directing this episode, is detail-oriented, and he's a massive fan of the books as well. So he understands where this particular part of the story fits narratively in the next book.
What I felt was important in this scene, we have a time freeze element that happens. We're using people who are good at standing frozen, and we're
awesome.
using fishnets to have dresses. It's very analog, which I like.
Oh my God, the detail in that. the fact that it's all practical, I'm hard right now. That is crazy. They're able to. Oh my god, I've already all the behind the scenes for every episode of this show. I've been gushing about like the creativity and the heart that's been going into this. I
Pretty
love it.
impressive, I think. They've managed to freeze some horses in the background. All the horses are being very well behaved. I get dragged on a rig, which was really fun to do, and it's difficult to see all those beautiful velvet wolf killer coats get ripped up. It's lots of stunts, it's lots of French.
We've done a system, we call it a slack line, and a nitrogen reaction to motivate our stunt performer toward the wall. We always take what's on paper and try to make it bigger and better. As the scene progresses, the anger and the emotion increases, so the stunt becomes bigger and bigger. We go from a slide and a flick to flying against. The Talamasca is very important to the Anne Rice canon. It's almost like Men in Black. This is an organization that oversees all of the demons, witches, vampires, all of this unexplained.
I love this so much already. Oh my god. Oh, that's great. That's really cool. I love stuff like that. Either like all the fictitious variety, whether it's SCP Containment Breach or my personal more recent favorite, like everything from the Remedyverse involving Control, Alan Wake, but like Control, the Federal Bureau of Control, the Oldest House, the organizations therein, altered world events, objects of power. If you're a nerd like me into all of that, then this is like, the organization. I love this. The bureaucratic containment.
Anne Rice's imagination seems to be limitless, and she's able to create a world and then add another world onto it. So the Talamasca world is just wonderful. It's a wonderful foil to the whole vampire world.
Just when you think the plot couldn't continue to keep thickening more and more, here we are. Dude, this is great. Dude, the fact that the Talamasca now exists in the oh my god, there's so many possibilities. I love it. Because I didn't even thought about that, but the fact that they opened the episode with that already got my gears going. This is great.
Louis, who we met before he was a vampire, he's almost like an undercover agent in a world in which he can't be found out. So Louis is very tentative and reluctant to join anybody.
I think for the Coven, it's a rejection of them and what a vampire should be and shouldn't be. Whereas Louis always teetering on ideas of morality and who he is and what's right and what's wrong.
And that's why I lean so much towards Louis. People have accused me of being biased towards certain characters who still commit the similar deeds as the characters that I'm condemning. But he's like the reluctant vampire, part of the reason of why I'm so sympathetic towards his character and all that. But he's still, even through all the good, the bad, and the ugly, he's still trying to find these like morally righteous ways forward, possibly.
He can't commit in the way that they've committed to their set of rules, and that just makes him a target.
Poos. Flea. It's a horrible nickname, but Claudia doesn't take any of it in because she realizes what they're doing in calling her that, and it's Flea meaning little, like bottom of the barrel.
As an audience, everybody roots for Claudia because she demands to be taken seriously.
You say root for Claudia. I do to an extent, but I still condemn her for some of her actions. But yes, I agree. I am sympathetic to her plight.
Claudia is very intelligent, so I wouldn't say she completely changed herself. I'd say she molded herself to appease them. But I think she's always combating with being a second choice for people. So when she meets the Coven and all these vampires are accepting her into the Coven, she is fulfilled and she's found what she's been looking for. A group of people that put her first.
I'm happy for that.
To finally be in the Coven and have an opportunity to go on stage, but to have to play a baby just reinforces all of the issues that she has about being taken seriously, being respected.
Okay, to be fair, I didn't quite think of it that way. I thought she was like at a loss for words because she finally had. I'm glad I had this clarification. I thought she was at a loss for words because she had a starring role and she was just going to be the child of two parents, but to literally dress up, like have the role for 50 years as a baby, look like a goo goo gaga in the crib, That's unfortunate. Everybody seems happy though, but that's kind of ironic given her the path that she thought she was on.
You'll be their little birdie for the next 50 years.
Being able to make proactive decisions about her own life, it's a void that's created for her, that she can never have that.
For all intents and purposes, Armand is going to kill Louis.
Really?
I don't think it was preempted that he might not, because he feels he has no choice. His 200 years with the coven is a lot more important than this new person who's come into his life, even though this person is magnetic and making him feel all these amazing new emotions.
But then he goes against the coven.
I will not harm you.
Louis in shock
Those were your first words to me.
in that moment. And so they share a bit of their past and a bit of their trauma for like their power dynamic.
He doesn't have a way out in the end, he chooses. Are you inviting me in? The choice in the end is
Depends.
to pursue love,
Are you gonna kill me?
to pursue this feeling.
I can't help but root for them, man. It's so weird because when we followed them back in the day, I'm like, man, this is such a powerful story, characters, couple. I want to root for them. I want them to be like to end up together, find a way forward. I really support this like love and romance as they both break through break out of the bonds of their own traumas and such. But then we cut to present day Dubai, and I'm like,
I don't trust these motherfuckers. I don't. You, Daniel Malloy, you uncover the truth. I don't trust any of these rich to-dos in Dubai, these holier-than-thou assholes. Like,
it's crazy how like modern day I see them through Malloy's eyes, and I'm so skeptical and suspicious and like antagonistic. And then I go back in time and I'm like, weren't they just the cutest thing? Even Lestat, like, I want to see him lead a scene for once now. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've seen him through other people's perspectives, and you know, charming as all get out. What a great, interesting character that, as far as I'm aware, has still committed evil deeds and atrocities. But I would love to get an episode from his point of view that shows what, like, maybe that shows what Louis and Armand were like in his eyes. But again, that could also be innately flawed. Or maybe it's the truth of the whole matter. Maybe Armand and Louis have just been like lying to everybody and themselves. Who knows? I'm still loving it. The plot keeps on thickening more and more. Just when I think that I'm like, okay, I wonder how this could go, or well, I'm sure this is just gonna pan out a certain way, more layers are added, more complications added. This show, it's hard to edit this for YouTube sometimes because normally you can cut out a lot of like dead space or dead air out of some shows, you know, transitions or unimportant dialogue or scenes. But each episode of this show, well packed with important dialogue, scenes, cinematography, character moments, everything. It matters so much to the cumulative narrative that it's almost like what is there to cut out anymore? Self-sponsor. Patreon's the best way to watch this. Anyway, that's all the time I got for today. Again, if you are watching this on Patreon, thank you. Once I started doing early uploads, I'm not going to lie to you, my Patreon has exploded with support. I am overwhelmed by the love, the support, and the gratitude and all that jazz. And I'm even more grateful to you guys and gals for watching this the way that you are in this medium. I'm glad that I can add to the experience, and you can join me for this journey. But yeah, so if you're on Patreon, awesome, thank you. If you're not, consider supporting. You're watching this 1 week ahead of when it would be on YouTube otherwise. So if you want early access, if you're following along this journey and you're like, I want more, then it's available there for you. YouTube is more than enough support. You being here for free, subscribing, liking, commenting for the algorithm, interacting with the video. We are almost at 5,000 subs? Insane to me, but thank you so much. This has been a crazy journey on YouTube for like 13 plus years. So it means so much to me that after all these years, this community is now kind of coming together and being built. Like you because of you, like this is all. It's all becoming. The giveaway is still going to be going on my Instagram page. If you haven't followed already and you want a chance to win one of 3 prizes and support me, thank you all so much for joining, watching, supporting. I love you for it. And goodbye, travelers.